Are you always the one people come to when they need someone to listen? And do you always feel like you can easily pick up on the moods and emotions of the people around you? These are some of the characteristics of what's commonly referred to as an empath. That's someone who is extremely sensitive to the moods and emotions of others, and who tend to absorb those moods and emotions into their own bodies, almost like an emotional sponge. Even though the term empath isn't a diagnosis or an officially recognized term, it may be really helpful for the people experiencing these characteristics to identify with this term. Last week I covered the most common signs and characteristics of an empath. If you've not seen that yet, and especially if you're unsure if you are an empath, you can check out that video right here. I'll also make sure to link it in the end card. In today's video, we'll look at some of the upsides and downsides of being an empath, and we'll look at some strategies that you can use to help protect yourself if you're finding it overwhelming having to harbour other people's emotions. Being an empath can be both a blessing and a curse. Let's look at some of the positives of being an empath. You're able to form deep and strong relationships. Empaths are often really well liked and considered to be good friends because of the brilliant ability to listen and understand people. Empaths also have a great sense of intuition and can be great lie detectors. Because of how in tune empaths are with others, they can usually pick up on slight and subtle changes in tone of voice and body language. This means that an empath is usually able to tell how someone is truly feeling, even if they're saying something else. And if someone's lying, they'll usually be able to tell that something is off. Another benefit is that empaths tend to have heightened life experiences. And finally, a benefit of being an empath is having a high regard and sense of compassion for other people and all living creatures. There's a great sense of care and a willingness to help others. On the flip side, there are also some drawbacks to being an empath. One of these is that it can be difficult to set emotional boundaries. This means that it can be really difficult to say no to people, even if what they're asking is something you don't really want to do, or that you don't feel like you have the energy to do. Another downside is often feeling drained or exhausted, especially after interacting with people. And this brings us right into the next one, which is that empaths can tend to lean towards isolation. Needing and prioritizing alone time is by no means negative. But sometimes we see that it gets too much and that empaths tend to draw themselves away from most interactions in their lives. And finally, a major drawback of being an empath is that people may tend to dump their trauma on you. Because of the positive of being such a good listener, there's a risk that people take advantage of that and end up coming to you to complain about all the things that are wrong in their lives. This can be a lot to be the receiver of. It's not uncommon for empaths to feel overwhelmed much of the time. If you find that it's taking a toll on you, it's really important to prioritize your own well-being. Let's look at a few ways of how you can do that. I have 7 strategies that I want to share with you today that can hopefully help you reduce the negative impact of these empathic abilities. The first crucial step to protecting yourself as an empath is awareness. It's important to quickly realize when you're experiencing a sense of overwhelm or sensory overload in a situation. Once you've realized that you're experiencing overwhelm or any other negative effects, you can use some of these next strategies to protect yourself. But being aware and spotting the sensory overload is crucial because the earlier you can act and start protecting yourself in the situation, the less severe the overwhelm will end up getting. The second important strategy is to set boundaries. Setting boundaries is really important for all of us, but especially for empaths. If you are an empath, you may find it really difficult to say no to people, as you're naturally so invested in the lives and emotions of others. But if you do your best to set boundaries and say no when you need to, it will pay off. The first step to be able to communicate your boundaries clearly to those around you is for you to actually know what they are. Setting boundaries is also about knowing and communicating your own needs. Ask yourself what you need and want, and don't be afraid to communicate that to the people around you. If you don't, there's a risk that you may become exhausted and you may feel overlooked in the relationships where your basic needs aren't being met. The third important strategy to protect yourself as an empath is to prioritize your self-care. Self-care is what we do to restore balance and recharge our energy levels. This needs to be whatever you find recharging. What do you enjoy doing? What gives you energy? This can be engaging in any hobbies or activities that bring you joy. And it can be alone or it can be with others. Often empaths need time alone to recharge. Because you're so deeply impacted by the energy of others, it's important that you spend time on your own to re-energize. It's also really common for empaths to find joy in nature because it can help us feel grounded. Spending time in nature doesn't need to be complicated. Simply standing or walking barefoot in the grass can make you feel grounded and connected to nature. The fourth helpful strategy is to practice meditation. Meditation is always great and everyone can benefit from incorporating it into their self-care routines. But especially for empaths, it can be important to meditate. When you practice meditation regularly, it can help you gain control of your thoughts, as you learn to let the thoughts that you don't wish to have or that don't serve you drift away. Meditation can also help empaths create more of a protective barrier around themselves, which can eventually help them to become less sensitive to the energy of others. The fifth strategy is to use visualization for energy protection. Deep breathing and visualization are both powerful tools that we can use to regulate ourselves and to take control of our own emotions. If you're an empath experiencing overwhelm, it can help you shield yourself from absorbing other people's emotions. The moment you start to feel uncomfortable with a situation, a person, or a place, take a few deep breaths and put up your shield. Visualize a protective barrier around yourself and imagine that you're surrounded by a white light that filters out any negative energy. This shield protects you from anything that's negative, stressful, toxic, or intrusive. Strategy number 6 to protect yourself is to practice self-reflection and journaling. Make sure you take time to reflect on your own emotions and needs. Regularly check in with yourself to make sure you understand what you're experiencing and what you need to be emotionally balanced. Journaling can be a great tool for an empath. Journaling helps us to organize our thoughts and can often lead to a greater understanding of why we're experiencing certain thoughts or feelings. By writing through deeper, more difficult emotions, empaths are able to better identify specific triggers and eventually come up with personalized strategies for self-protection. Using a mood tracker can also be a great tool for identifying patterns in how you're feeling and finding triggers. Regularly using journaling and mood trackers can help you understand what activities are good for you and what activities you may benefit from cutting out of your life. And the 7th and final strategy that I have for you today is to seek support. It can be a really good idea to reach out to those closest to you and make sure that they understand how you're feeling. The more openly you can communicate how you're feeling and what your needs are, the easier it is for them to help you. You don't have to carry the weight of everyone around you's emotions all by yourself. If you do find that your empathic abilities are really affecting you negatively, it may be worth considering reaching out to a mental health professional. They can help you process the emotions that you're experiencing, and they can guide you through learning to use these different strategies for protecting yourself. Remember that learning to manage your empathic abilities is a process, and it may take a while for you to find the techniques that work the best for you. Be patient with yourself and prioritize your self-care as you navigate your emotional boundaries. Self-compassion and self-acceptance are crucial parts of learning to protect yourself. Embrace your empathic abilities and remember that taking care of your own well-being is not selfish. It's necessary for your mental health. I upload new psychological insights, tips, and tools on this channel every single week. If that's at all interesting to you, I'd love for you to subscribe so we can meet again. Thank you for watching this one. Take care and bye for now.